All right, welcome back to Zombies Gaming. Today we're taking a look at Of the Devil, which came out in February of 2025. Immerse yourself in neon smoke and high-stakes legal gambles as a defense attorney with uniquely killer insights in this episodic, diabolically stylish visual novel adventure game. I don't remember quite why I got it, but let's get right into it. Rain sizzles off neon above me. The summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering of holograms down the street and a slight blunting of the night's ambience. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and the constant noise. The city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the second-hand nervous energy of it all, but I'm plenty accumulated. Acclimated. Just a waste of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. Because if I'm not careful, the client of mine's gonna die in jail. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. By the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadows of doubt left. Because this whole world's lit up, mapped out, never unknown and always online. Whether it's incandescent or neon or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen, there's light shining on every last pixel of the map. Someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity. Anonymity is scarce. And criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke them out if you got them. Not that there's much I can do until... my phone. Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at the 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'll try. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now. 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. Of the Devil, episode 0. And he shall appear. Disable tutorials, you can turn them back on in settings. I'll keep the tutorials on for now. Suspect not found. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town with nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about a homicide? High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. However you pronounce that. But whatever. If I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can poke around and shake some change loose. Heads up, press escape or click the phone icon in the top left to access the pause menu where you can save, load, and check settings. You can toggle auto text, advance with the A key, or check reread previous lines with L key. Use mouse to look around for points of interest that you can click on, or press space to find them automatically. You'll earn credit for investigating anything and everything you can. Credit is both a measure of your information gathering skills and your own credibility, so don't go broke. Okay, so I'm assuming I can read this. Datapad. I'll bite. Even when there are more advertisements than an article, they can still be informative in a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Heads up, keep an eye out for articles in the environment. They offer insight on the world around you and credit towards your investigation. Articles are added to your phone's reading list after you first read them. Choose the proper takeaway after reading them and you'll earn additional bonus credits too. Subway fixes axed. City to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronics cabling and erosion of the key tunnel fixtures were cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy high above our city streets. Reactions to the announcement could be characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, a decade since the last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope on them ever making a comeback. Online chatter barely reacts to the announcement, with most comments on voters' attention focused instead on the growing investigation into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. As one of the canopy's major backers in the city hall, Long has often found himself at odds with a small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution. And with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typically rock-steady political foundation of the canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week. But with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. However, not all reactions to the news has been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra made headlines last year with their radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels. But momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came in a disappointing 3,359% over budget. Though one council member was quoted by calling their system mind-boggling wasteful and impractical in the extreme. In the light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineers' answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. Historically, most scientists have attributed this increase in sea level to climate change, though there are dissenting voices. Water rises and falls all the time for reasons we do not fully understand. Are we to... It appears that you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. Alright, so ballsy of them putting the paywall there, as if I'd reach for my wallet after having to read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. Takeaways that City will be focusing its efforts on. Canopy. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the canopy now that there's no plan B. It's a massive project with massive budget lines of the pockets of the people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment of not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. Alright, what else we got around here? Inspect. High traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishings, multiple screening stations, pragmatic brutalism, so textbook you can teach freshman level architecture. You can almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. The civil planning equivalents of battle scars. From a fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built. But walking in here now with crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. So, what else we got here? Examine. Medium's cracked in the quarter. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls on the sofa. I'll probably null the warranty on one of these things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken entirely. Even at this hour, it still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get served at state buildings. There's a few missing persons too. 1 year silver plan coverage courtesy of Catechus as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Observe. Actual police lineup. It's like I walked into a museum. Though museums tend to feel expensive, clean, dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had to witness making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe that they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory foundation is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel, and all during billable hours. There's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording, assuming their phone didn't automatically file their police report for them. Alright, I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to go check in. It's booted up fine, so far so good. Good morning. Morgan, here for the public defense contract. Could you please provide your name and... Great, please stand still for a moment. I want to call into Carlos charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in their text so long as it never speaks out of turn. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far so good, wasn't it? Scan my card. Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great. Now could you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why do they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card in my profile. I'd have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem, my birthday is... This October 25th. That's not quite correct. Would you like to try again? Right, still have sleep, I guess. Would you like to check your profile to be certain? Kind of defeat the purpose of verification, wouldn't it? I'm sorry, but I'm not equipped to make judgments about the futility of security theater. But you are allowed to say it's only theater? No, I must have misspoken. What I meant to say was my birthday is... Profiles. Morgan. December 26th. Ah, that's what I was gonna pick. Alright. December 26th. Perfect. Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to the counseling quarters 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room? I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new whatever that said. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes a person feel sitting in a stiffed box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection duly warped across gunmetal walls. Morgan Counselor, can I help you with anything else? Choices that progress the story and choices that represent side topics will react differently to your mouse. You can also use keys 1 through 5 on your keyboard to choose dialogue choices from the top to bottom. Because of what you read earlier, you've unlocked additional choices in this dialogue. Read and examine it at every opportunity to build up your knowledge to get the most out of every conversation. Alright, sure. Why the disrepair? I know the city's not terribly concerned with the lower wards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? The facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience that you might have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? You ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? What are you? What are you? I'm a smart user interface proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I could send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription packages? No. Sorry. That was a mean question to ask. That'll be all. Thank you. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the door to your right. Thanks. But I think it's just me for now, so you could go on a break if you'd like. Automated dependents do not take breaks. Morgan counselor. Then what were you doing before I walked in? You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the doors to the right. Thanks. Ads don't get breaks and they don't get my jokes, but it's usually the humorous types that are the most fun to mess with anyways. Eyes gone bad or something? A voice. No, voices coming from down the hall. Compared to yours? Probably. Thank God I stopped for directions. Building this empty, the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, decidedly low energy. Appreciate you worrying about me. God forbid I try to be serious, while others rings with useful ignoration. It's not like our job's important or anything. Definitely cops. At this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Because why else would you bother to print all that out? One document or 100 looks the same on a data pad. Anytime you question a suspect, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than their priests, their mother, their big brother. I wasn't going to say that. So how many of these sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers? Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. We don't have many extra hands around at these hours. Probably faster to let the desk handle intake anyways, but mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan Esquire, pleased to meet you. Same here, counselor. Quasum London. And the ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farah Reyes. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Sorry if you kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Give me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you? 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me. Well, we're the detectives in charge of this particular case. And it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the Illustrations Homicide Department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouse before. He never struck me as more than just some old timer. But I suppose being an old timer is an accomplishment in itself, in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly prompt, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours? Sounds serious. Unless you're just the first to arrive to the scene. No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural, must have been quite the commotion. Look around. You think we're the first to arrive for anything? She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with the ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So you suspect the client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? Wait, did they really not tell you? No, I guess they wouldn't put it on a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a professional courtesy, a fair warning, yeah? That's the Heartbreak killer in that room. Huh? We've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass the shitstorm on to some other night owl that'll go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime, you'll be so polite as to fill me in about this Heartbreak killer. The cover utilities at the rock you live under? Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks, their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net, everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. Right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. When it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must have at least heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it, along with everyone else. One bullet straight through the heart, body left to lie where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. Shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. It takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. His pulse probably doesn't even rise. I see. Pick a character. What does that mean? Sounds robotic. You almost make him like some kind of machine. Is it possible that... No, it's not. There's no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So all those androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky, I guess they're all firing blanks. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades. They don't commit murder. Right. Evil like Heartbreak is all organic. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. How I managed to miss 6 murders? Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You're still not getting it. HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is the Heartbreak killer and tonight was just his latest crime? That's a serious accusation, with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up? I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? It's all there in the discovery files and the arcs of course. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, can I ask you some questions while I've got you here? No kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives. This kind of attorney. You're all just that pleasant. Come on, sunshine. Not like we're gonna be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your clients do an interrogation all night for all I care. Interro, you mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. Observe. Loose wires, missing panels, an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supported to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt tightening at the homicide, but I didn't think there'd be an operation would be bare bones. You got stunning clearance rates that'll work fast. Yes, the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe the job is easy. But with our dear dotting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased, so homicide ends up as the only state department without a shrinking budget. A dumping grounds for the police force, most unambitious and least popular. Inspect. Barren, stark and uninviting, this must be Rhea's desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single mote of personalization. She's so new that she hasn't had time to unpack, or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. Latest news, androids receive warm welcome, bolstered by strong earnings report and surging sales of the Animate 16 Noble Electronics stock rose a stunning 3% this week to a new record high, while Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of predecessors. An increased profit margin has left Noble's shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic part components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. While some critics voiced concern that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian customers, users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case in the latest decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong. The Animate 16 is poised to break profitability records with no signs of slowing down, and many industry analysts predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much of the 16th line success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to their remarkable lifelike personable charm of their products, and by all accounts that charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David R. Asher. Lead programmer is the understatement of the century, said Noble brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage at their latest #Noble Industries weekend. It's because of his turning solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Asher himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in the recent years. Are we really to believe he's still? And yep, not logged into the device. Okay, so what is the takeaway? He's in the news again. No wonder. Can't spit without landing on a piece of Noble tech these days, especially not where state's involved. Don't know if it'll bite when it comes to warm androids though. The government, they're just too frail. All androids undergo wear and tear, especially if they're directing traffic or suppressing crowds. So if these warm androids bleed pink all over themselves every time they take a rock to the cheek, it's just an endless stream of bad photo ops waiting to happen. Yeah, that's fair. Let's inspect this. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system, or even a stapler. Paper documents scattered about easily alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look like the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Okay, nothing else jumps out at me around here. I got a better idea of who I'm dealing with at least. Now I need to check out the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. You've been granted access to city files regarding case KL433511. Reply C to confirm. C. That's not what I wanted. You need to reply C in order to confirm. Am I talking to a person? I'm an automated dependent. Ads are usually more polite. Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preference. So the stake likes you to be a little more authoritarian. You need to reply C. C. Case sensitive. Thank you. All right. If I project from my phone. Oh, it's like a holophone. That's kind of cool. Oh. Augmented reality crime scene. This is kind of cool. Doop, doop, doop. Do I just click something? All right, let's see what the police have. What they think is important. All right, so they think, let's examine this. The victim's body. Cause of death, ballistic trauma, class 4 blood loss, atrium and aorta. Single gunshot wound to the heart, and brief death was instantaneous, no injuries anywhere else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood splatter, forensics, and all that other good stuff tells them that she was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. Okay. The gun. The murder weapon, a revolver, found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the gun's been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police with the murder weapon right in front of the body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. Prejudicial? Seemed like this vase got tossed aside at some point, and yet there's not a scratch on it. Maybe pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. Let's take a look at this. The stand-up mirror shattered and knocked over. Real glass, no screens or cameras here. It was a hard hit, hard enough to come unattached from its arm, while shards of glass were scattered far enough to land in the victim's body. What a mess. That's all big ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. No signs of forced entry only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that got thrown and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris. Flag is irrelevant? That's their technical assessment? Guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay, that's everything that the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? Here's this. Did I miss anything? What the hell is that? Something's in the victim's hand. How the hell did... It's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and tripexazone, a synthetic glucocorticoid medication. Taken daily to reduce rejection symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. The autopsy said the tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. She could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and it still wouldn't be changed the cause of death. It's odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is all very incriminating, but the kicker's everything that's not here. No out of place DNA, footprints, crumbs, nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before, but not much more. I'm really gonna have to sing for my super this time. Better get started. Who the hell's messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is, I suppose it could be something important. Red Brett. I couldn't wait until morning. Good news, of course. Got a job for you. That's pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole. Hello, not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Kind of thing I can't handle with just keyboard and phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher. Not that kind of lawyer, sorry. Hey, at least let me finish. What do they do? Make me run laps? Not illegal. Let me finish. They made me run laps even though I said I had a stomach ache. Said. Gotta be like youth endangerment. Depraved indifference or some kind of shit. Sounds like you already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time. What's with the blow-off? Nice phrasing. Oh wow, I'm laughing so hard right now. See? Is that your mugshot? I wasn't gonna not get a copy of my mugshot and use it as a reaction. Glad you found a use case, but I'm working right now, so anything cool? Homicide. Oh, cringe. What kind of homicide? Is it HBK? Is that the kind of morbid thing your kids your age talk about? Teens my age, and yeah, we can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines, old-fashioned murder like Hardy B is like quaint. It's not Heartbreak. Then why did you take the job, LOL? You see the 98% conviction rate as a challenge or something? You taking up lost cause probe nose work? It's pro bono. That was autocorrect. You know they give lit homework for a reason, right? This is borderline concerned nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just sucker. I'm not a sucker. Nice phrasing, lol. You should go to bed, Fran. Tomorrow's Sunday. I can stay up if I want. Tomorrow's Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What? What's with the Carpe Diem shit? It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. You got like school in 3 hours. Shit. Okay, repeat offenders may be good for business. This kid's bad for my blood pressure. Important text message, I take it. There's your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details. Androids and cops. By the way, couldn't help but notice that you're light on staff. It's 3 in the morning. Were you expecting a parade? I thought there'd be at least a few androids around. How many androids in the police station this week? Not while the brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly. They're the biggest. Hardly? They're the biggest robotics corp there is. Could spend all day in the center city without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, we're very fortunate to have them headquarters here. Save us some money on shipping at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks for Noble ads by the end of the month. Even with Noble pushing those warm androids. Warm? Yeah. Might as well call it adult line. Might see him in the bigger departments or out on patrol, but not around these officers. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective yet. Yet? Really? Yet? You really think that'll happen? We already use ads for patrolling. Securing the scene, pacifying crowds, doesn't seem like that big of a stretch to me. You're joking, right? Android detectives, with all the pain we go through getting witnesses to talk to us, with your warm personality, can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions, you're gonna put up a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal with a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna start posting that shit and get you put on a list. Well, we certainly don't want that, but flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyways. Camera, sensor, satellite, we already get all of our facts from machines. Give a few more years, it might make sense to let machines do the investigating too. The police union wouldn't let that happen. She needn't have specified it's the only real union there is anymore. Let's look at details. So, how about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Baker Flatt, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. using his middle name already. They already do think he's a serial killer. The charge being the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, a Miss Diane Dawn. First degree, that's increasingly rare, to say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. She's got damn near more cameras than people. So you gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Heartbreak's got away with it 6 times. So, what's that make him? 5 times. And that makes him insane. I was gonna go with extraordinary. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinary insane. But not jobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So what makes you think this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up? 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Nothing. So this serial killer chose his victims at random. If they have nothing in common, yeah, nothing in common at all, other than that they all look like cousins. The physical similarities are striking. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, about the same height, comparable weight. Well, these features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself a type, anyone could see that. You really gotta try and tell me you don't see the resemblance. A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from a portrait, but I can take the hint. So you think what exactly? That Carlos Flatt wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly he went out and shot 5 other women first? Hey, if the shoe fits, then you put the shoe on the... What Sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to displace their violence for people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, workers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just so far gone that he can't tell the difference anymore. It's not the worst theory in the world. but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice runs, dress rehearsals for tonight's main event, but if that were the case, there'd have been signs of hesitation nerves. There'd have been mistakes, on top of which guns are impersonal execution shots, even more so. There's no sadism or hatred in intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend or her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile, if you ask me. Okay, timeline. I saw the time of the death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but do you have a timeline for the rest of the night's events? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth, but we managed thanks to less biased sources. And we're pretty confident about what we've been able to piece together from their statements. So they interviewed witnesses. Sounds eerily similar to real police work. The suspects and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting around 8 p.m. I like what the eyes are doing. That's kind of cool. Neighbors were very clear about that part. Couldn't wait to tell us about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd been fighting for weeks. As you probably gathered from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered, but things go quiet sometime before 9 p.m. And then there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp, but we heard from enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about the time. Right, emergency services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seems to recognize the sound for what it was, but the silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter after enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m., and then they find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hands covered in her blood. At which point they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand? Singular? Your client's modded synthetic right arm. How modded are we talking here? Registered with a Heyo 85 habilis, industrial grade looks like. Says he's spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to class 4 KPA, which means the minimum grip strength of, well, basically, you can crush your neck without even getting his teeth, without even gritting his teeth. Consider a career change? No, it's not that. It's just your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. And here I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. You think a cop would cover her dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing the first time we met. You what? Getting back on track, that arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. He can't work without it when he's gone tight. The arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Well, no chance to be willing to chalk that up to coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingertips on the revolver, and no one else's. A revolver? What kind? The old kind, the real old kind. More specifically, a Calver M54 6-chambered 10mm. Calver? How retro. You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chambers, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here? Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp trigger pulls, safeties coded, the owner's biometrics. For the past 3 decades, tags have made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So you're claiming my client used some kind of antique to commit these crimes. How else do you think he'd have gotten away with these 5 other times? If you tried to buy a gun legit, he probably failed the first psych check. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before updates withdrawals sets in. So then M54, that's model year 2054. A 30-year-old gun? Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have to be over 30 years old too. The novelty of this weapon has kept us in the dark so far, but now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put him away for good. Archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they had to dig. But with the protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to the gun your client was found with. rifling marks. Bullets fired from the gun from that hold are marked by the barrel shape. So all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks. We know that they were all fired by the same gun. It's not a plug and play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. If that's not damning enough, the spent casings from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. Culver, our client was found with, is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untagged gun just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize them, you believe my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend, and then retrieved his weapon and shot her. Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? Guilty. How was his effect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. The action may have lost some points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. And so long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. Heartbreak. Hold on a second. I need some water. I think this is probably the longest I've ever talked straight. Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. The less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah, top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just journalists though. All kinds have been emboldened. The freaks HK's managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Street offenders in general are an endangered species, but he's gotten away with it. We know what he's gotten away with. Take a look around us, detective. National DNA registry is robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone on every citizen. Violent crimes at an all-time low and clearance rates at all-time highs. But you gotta spout some alt-pol bullshit about invasion of privacy? No, I'm not. People are safer now than at any other time in history, detectives. So when someone like Heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off, but pressure from the higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They maybe need to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable. Yeah, well, even if nothing's standard about HK, department's SOP still dictates we starve the media for case details. That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful for whatever scraps they get. But we can't take all the credit around this time around. Homicide's tight-knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. And why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught on the opt-in crime surveillance system. How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas in the lower wards, but Optics is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying they haven't seen this killer on camera once? You think we'd have let him kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, man, but Optics is only what it says in the name. Private surveillance system signing up to feed into the state security network, it's not perfect. Just another one of the many public safety tools under our belt. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. Fat chance. Deterrents are for war rooms and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. But it does have holes. Patching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. There's all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved, but the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts. The math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You need to be involved in the law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. If you've mentioned it, my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, so that just leaves city planning. So does he work for construction for the city? HK's only ever struck at times in locations where optics would be down. Even with the devil's own luck, it can't possibly be coincident. Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed, yeah, there is a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it included the area surrounding the victim's apartment. Well, what about DNA from the other crime scenes? Was my client a match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. No footage and no forensics. Also no motives, tamperings, or witnesses. It's been like hunting a damn ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon. Until now. Finally, a lucky break for the boys in blue. Scanners, cams, drones, forensics, no matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK is the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we even caught him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along. So was my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. We questioned some execs, a few CIs, someone even spoke to one or two unlisted at some point. Nothing came of it. There was a talk starting on some kind of psych eval or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with. In other words, the only thing they have, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystone, then the rest of their case should start to come loose as well. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture it paints isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly gonna have to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Oh, oops. Well, that's unexpected. I'm sorry. You're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in the discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. I have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. And give me 1 second. Man, I'm about to lose my voice if I keep reading this. All right. Oh, okay. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to at first, but I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but it didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough, I know that now. I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact. Well, got a spin on that? No need. But it's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not one he intends to sign at any time soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer and got you. Guess you're both lucky. Hardly. I just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn till now. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go and speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing to that man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in handcuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Seriously though, I'd like to speak to him alone now. Camera's off if you don't mind. Mic's on or off is your call, counselor. But we'll be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuffs that is, stay on. That worried about me. How chivalrous. Yeah, my armor is practically blinding. Gross, I'll start the unclocked cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I suggest you help them sign that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of the defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he's also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's capital crime, if there ever was one. And even if the death penalty is not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not going to like whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person and it's being challenged before the Supreme Court? Yeah. Sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea bargain might feel like a loss for you, but if it keeps him from, well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty. That much is true. It saves the court a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful towards a Heartbreak killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind another day in their life. (3:35 a.m. June 5th, 2086). It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Carlos flat, right? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. We've got a lot to cover, but this shouldn't take all night. What are you? Look, I already told you people I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. You're a lawyer, in fact, and I'm here to help you. Yeah, well, they said that too. A lot of them did. Back there and here kept repeating it the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me, that they knew this was all a mistake. Then they said that I killed, acting like they were on my side, and they thought that It's not their job to help you, Carlos, but it is mine, and I'm here now. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. But I'd like you to try and answer a few questions. Police already questions you, I'm sure, but they were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay. So what did you want to know? I want to know about you. Let's start simple, something mundane, grounded, routine. I'd like to know a bit more about you first, Carlos. Something like, what line of work are you in? I'm with city engineering, or I was, or I should be, because I thought the police must be convinced he mapped the optics blackouts using data he stole from work. My arm, I got slotted for the job, and Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So what do I know? He works in city engineering, not a desk job. Reyes said he was modded for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment, but based on his shoulder, it'd have to be pretty... probably pretty lifelike? Lifelike, perhaps. With the fake skin and the fox hair and the simulated blood flow, as if. I've seen his apartment. He's not that kind of spender. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really? Really? I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out, a whole career path of promotions and bonuses and upgrades they had afforded him. Then came his 18th birthday present, test results politely informing him that he's not a viable candidate. That sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Like he was glad that he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. I always figured if I'd start at all, I'd start with a small hand or eye, test the water. Never thought about lobbing my whole damn arm off, but the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said because of the NCDA, there was financial aid and other resources. Of course, got shit canned, so now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit. The new Citizen with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed. But I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I worked the tighter spaces, the high vault environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typically stuff for modders, you know? He's speaking freely now. Don't need to do much more than repeat his words back to him and keep him talking. The right word choice here or there can still make a difference. You worked on the canopy? You must be under a lot of pressure, yeah. Must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoning off. Damn straight in this crap with Long. Once word got out that the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that internal affairs is gonna come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering. Yeah. And no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard not to look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos? Yeah, that. Rejection issues. Starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection. Did the therapy not take? It's not like that. I wasn't oozing pus out of my sockets or anything. Then do the rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. I'm right-handed. So those cuts on his face are just from shaving. Never thought this would go so long I'd have to relearn how to do everything. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms, just oversensitivity, they said, an easy fix. But the problem got bigger. Couldn't let it get that far. You need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter at the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, turned in my arm, and watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line. Where did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround chop shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. Doesn't sound like you had a happy customer. Or it doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no. If I found a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times, but as long as I'm renting and now not owning, the manufacturer decides when your arm gets maintenance. And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive ass stump for a shoulder. I haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I get 2 more working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime? I serve at the pleasure of the state. They've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all locked up while white knuckle tight. Hindi. KO Industries? As I recall, he's registered with one of their habilis models. If I took one step on site with uninsured tech, forget the fines, I'd lose the down payment and my arm. I'd never work in the city again. If this was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking their neck out for anyone now that Long's in deep and hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain? Pain will come and go. It's the itches that kill you, and the phantoms come back pretty fast when I don't have anything. So that medicine was probably for him. Arm-shaped, attached to me. Don't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something that clinics lend out in cases like this? What they gave me is a dead-weight, 3-jointed landfill bait piece of shit. Sorry, it's a very shitty feeling having a part of your body that you know they cut corners on. If it's compatible technically, I can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend. They're the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep or dead. So you were wearing it when you were arrested? Were you wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't, but I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so can't have gone too far. So Detective Reyes has been quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's blood on his left arm only because at the time in question he didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies in the story so far, and he's owned up about as well as he can be expected. But all this has been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends, always got along. Eventually, we just got together at some point. Guess I never actually asked her out the real formal way. Sounds pretty cowardly saying it out loud. Diane, she was in genetics, focused her studies on agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out of the gate, practically headhunted. Can you believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company would be lucky to have her, unlike... It was a real-ass job. Paid real-ass money, too. So her career was starting to pan out, right as you had fallen into the mother of all slumps. Where was she hired? Pedigree? No. Pedigree Laboratories. I say that like the name matters, the whole setup's under the Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and the corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. Now, no corporations earn the mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco is about as tame as big business can get. Predictable like the seasons. No one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. Had she adjusted well to her new job? Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes, corporate politics getting rough? I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately, but I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her. There's nothing she could have done that would deserve what happened to her. It was a long shot hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. But with no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I have to disprove their arguments entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was? Now, I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. Oh. Start at the beginning and take your time. The details are important. All right, Miss Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We had been arguing a lot lately, arguing about stupid stuff. I haven't been working, haven't been making money. I haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself, but more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m.? 8? Yeah, must have been when we started. We got into it and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I said one thing that I really shouldn't have. I crossed the line and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah. Walked out the front door. Thought some fresh air might help cool me off. Help me figure out what to say to make it up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was... Did you bring your phone with you or any other electronics? No. I kind of stormed off, didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street level cameras wouldn't help him. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone that with modded eyes? Did you buy anything, cash or credit? No, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time, wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details quite right. My head is... But if I exact route... What is it? I accidentally hit space. Optics was what? Can that even happen? And there's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed, meaning you've got no alibi. This can't... Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't... Carlos. I'm the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now, you said you left to clear your head. So what made you come back? I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was, but it was loud and it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first, but at some point I must have started running because when I got back, I was so out of breath. And when I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest and my lungs wouldn't. You live on the first floor, right? Yeah, the first floor apartment, street facing entrance. We were proud of that when the first moved in, like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway I saw her, but I didn't realize, I never thought that she was. The lights were off, the whole room was a mess. I thought we had been robbed or she had fallen or there was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was, I called her name and she didn't move. I checked her pulse and she was still warm. Her blood was warm. And I saw the gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Picked it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies, bad lies especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie, but it can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. None of this works if he doesn't trust me. Stay up to date on the details of evidence by checking your phone. If your clients notice that you don't know what they're talking about, they'll stop giving you any credit. You did touch the cone, Carlos. That's just a fact because it's the fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I wasn't thinking. I was just Carlos. All I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all. Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? That explains how his prints got on the gun, but not in a way that could satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold the gun, so stupid. I know what a gun looks like, but seeing it in my own home right in front of you were in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in. Sometime after that, I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving so fast it seemed like the rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect. Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room trashed when you got back. To clarify, you're saying that you two never had a physical fight. What physical? We never fought. We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assumed as much, which means they also assumed that the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos had told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene. Oh. There's an AR module built from data taken as the police entered. So, right, it's just data, Carlos. No grisly details. Okay, let me see it. Take your time. All right, I think I've got it. That's how the police found things. Now close your eyes and think back to how the room looked before you left. Try to focus on what's out of place. All right. I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was, but, well, the mirror was upright, of course. And the clock was still on the wall. I don't remember seeing a clock. Actually, there was a clock that was behind the glass, right? That's what that circular thing was? Or is that the clock? I just assumed that was just details from the report. The chair got knocked over at some point, and the bed got tossed and curtains torn, and then the urn fell. Other than that, no, sorry, that's all that stands out to me. I see. Like so? What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. It's just, I guess I just assumed your notes would be making edits to the AR. Well, I'm sorry, that animation of like the block dropping on the head, I don't ever catch it because I'm really busy reading, but I see it out of the corner of my eye and it's so fucking funny. Well, I suppose that works too. Sorry, I didn't mean, I think your drawing was pretty good considering, I like to change the subject now, Carlos. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter, what do you mean? I mean, this letter here, do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession. A confession? But this is just a note to self. Pardon? Look, when we fight, I lose my temper, say things I don't mean to. So this morning I tried writing things down so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of just fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them. That's, I broke her fidget tubbies. Her what? Her what? Her fidget tubbies. My wife would probably legitimately love those. Are those a thing? They're these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile. You use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Conversation starters. She loved those little things. They're not worth a damn, but you can buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her. And I broke them. I mean, I was pissy at the time, but that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly know where I was swinging it half the time. Got so angry I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room, that cheap, dusty, worthless. Okay, let's say he did break her fridge duckies with the replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove what his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist it's on claiming it's a confession for the Heartbreak killings anyway, couldn't even bother to sweep them up. I felt so. All right, Carlos, thanks for answering my questions. I'm going to call the police back in here and I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What? That's it? That's it? Oh, okay. Although, before I do that, I do have to ask, what do you know about the Heartbreak killer? Heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone else, I guess. I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everyone's on edge, a guy like that out there. He shoots people through the heart, right? Police kept the victim's appearance far away from any upstanding news sources. So unless he was already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't notice any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow on the uptake, it's gonna be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being the serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory as quick and definitively as possible. 4:04 a.m., June 5th, 2086. I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke wherever I want for a fee. What is this? I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right. I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It'll be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone always think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up. I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And, what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am. I'd never go anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch the stuff. I mean more like playing cards. Oh. Well then, no to that too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. I guess whenever I said that, I'm not sure if you've ever seen the movie Planes, but I was thinking about whenever the kid's in the cockpit with the pilot, and yeah, if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Poker's nice because even if you're dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win, which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? only when the stakes are high. And in this metaphor, we're playing poker, and the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like the house. You mean like the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best we can, win more hands than we lose. Keep it up, and eventually someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder and whisper something in their ear. And then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy? What's up? You know, there's a saying about gamblers with strategies. Yo, ready to confess yet? Because I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple, guilty pleas over long procrastinated trials, and they all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then, you'll have to call them back, because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right. What she said. You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generations, I guess. Before my time. Kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession, let's start there. Okay, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, what's already known and agreed upon. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple, counselor. It's real paint by numbers stuff. See, we found a notice at his apartment with the fingerprints on it, apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning to spin that off? Those are the facts. But I've been building up my hand all night. And now I've got weapons to answer everything they tried to throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology, but not for murder. He was apologizing for, analyze the facts that are laid out, then thumb through the responses by your hand drag and drop the card that best answers the argument into the slot on the right. You can mouse over your opponent's portrait for a reminder of what the key points are answering. Debris. He was simply apologizing for this. The hell's that? I found myself asking the exact same question. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? This diagram of the room is created from data you captured, right? Pure non-GMO augmented reality crime scene data. Yeah. What's non-GMO? Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's a scene of a murder. Full of busted shit for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. The hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Must be from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh? Because that vase wasn't damaged. It's not possible for the debris to have come from the vase because that vase is still pristine. How is that? How is that possible? The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it. The one time I try and thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? What does that even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch on it, then the debris must have come from somewhere else. The debris is what my client wrote that apology about. You're saying that the confession was his apology for not vacuuming? I am, because that pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of Fidget tubbies. What he said. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figurines by accident, and this impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish we weren't, we're all in agreement that my client wrote that note and that we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris on the crime scene. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed at the arcs clearly shows. Those fidget tubbies must have gotten pulverized during the struggle too. You really gonna claim he sat down to write an apology for breaking her toys after gunning her down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. It is the rental. Just take a closer look at the rental you took into custody, huh? One swipe of your finger should show exactly how devastating it was to the fickle body ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your techs found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it, fine, whatever. He broke them with his arm while he was killing her happily. Overjoyed because even a cheaper arm's got an operating system that logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. See, it happened to spot a footnote on the lab report said that the rental hadn't been used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, Sunshine. Just trying to save us all time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you for your service. And you seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. Expecting you to believe that he was upset over a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Setting aside Detective Ray's surprising depth of knowledge when it comes to collectibles, you're correct. They had no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. No, the only reason that note looks the way it does is because Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why the note looks like an asylum wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better writing than typing. And I need to get used to using my left anyways. I just thought it would be good practice. Taking that into account alongside with the ceramics, your slam dunk confection is looking about as watertight as a fishnet. Okay, fine. Forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to a big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have the fingerprints on it. That's right, that coat is. What? You gotta claim it's not his? But he actually wears an extra small. She's trying to bait me in her typical low-key fashion. As the arguments flow, you won't always have the stronger hand. Sometimes the best you can do is hold your tongue and avoid overcommitting. Try to lose as little credit as possible when you wait for a more favorable chance. So she must have something, no sense going into it. Something you'd like to ask me, detective? I'm just curious, what'll it be next? You gonna tell me he actually wears an extra small? Right, I can't raise it, so I'll just stay. Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah, sure, there's no evil twin you're forgotten to mention. So, I still have to stay, either way. I'm afraid not. Not even gonna go for a shit. To prove his innocence, I'll need to get there eventually, but going there now without hard evidence... I can't prove a third party. I can prove a third party. We can't prove a third party. I have no evidence of a third person at this time. Damn right you don't. It's clear as day the arcs, no evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't going to win that hand either way. But at least I didn't overstep and take any more damage than I had to. We're not contesting any of that, Detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene, which was not smart. Hey, but not illegal either. And that's all? He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Right. Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way? The lab finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure. I could use the fresh air. Seems some bullshit in here anyway. And here I thought the room smelled like... Psst, Morgan. What are you doing? My coat's covered in her blood. I remember that much. So doesn't that, like, make me look really bad? Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent. And that means not having more evidence will always help you. That means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really? Not really. Plenty of innocent people in prison. People with bad luck. Or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out as easily. More often than not, it takes coaxing. What was it that reminded me of? Alright, here it is. One bloodstained jacket fresh from the lab. So what's your angle? You gonna tell us it's actually just hot sauce? No. That'd be silly. She actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey. Sorry. Just got thrown off by the turn of good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank Detective for bringing you your jacket, Carlos. She's just proven your innocence. My client was arrested for wearing this coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart by a gun that happens to be an old world pre-tagging firearm. And this coat proves he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does this make any sense? Sense happens to be the key word here. I just need to draw their attention to what they can. I'm gonna say C, right? Just tell me what you see. I see coat with a lot of dead woman blood on it. And you? Ah, no. That's not gonna work. Truth is plainly here, but this isn't the kind of detail you can see with your naked eye. Okay. So he was walking around outside. That doesn't really smell. I'm trying to think of other smell-based things. What does the feel on you have to do? Black's coat. Coat suspect is wearing was taken into custody. Blood on the sleeve matches the victim. No other details of any forensics can be found. Okay, so we got evidence. Articles, no. Profiles. Why does he like firm beds? All right. Well, I luck poor. What about Heartbreak? Unknown criminal getting caught. Favorite color probably red. Probably not into astrology. Interesting. It's gonna be something you can smell, right? No, would it be smell? Well, I only got... Do me a favor, detective. Tell me what you can smell. I don't smell anything except red blood. Exactly, the coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell like cigarette. That's what I've been smelling. Yes, Detective London. I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation? I've been listening. You want me to smell the jacket. If you would. Let's see. No gunpowder. What? Yeah, you know, that's... I didn't even think about that. Now I feel like an idiot. What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing this was before your time. You can't be more than a few years older than me, but not before your partner, it seems. See, gunpowder is weak by today's standards, but it's still volatile stuff, hard to store, prone to misfiring, and when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. The hell is she talking about, London? Modern firearms like ones we carry use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure, sound waves. They got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise, and they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue. You talked my ear off about how difficult it was tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces, but a revolver like this one? It leaves gunpowder on the skin of whoever fired it for days. So then his coat. You don't trust your nose? Then you can check the lab reports. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they'd have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off after shooting her, or he changed his clothes. That's not impossible, but it'd be pretty pointless. His jacket and his left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue, just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flatt is facing as soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now. Should topple over at any moment. The letter was mostly icing on the cake for them, but that gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So if it looks like he never actually fired the gun, I'll admit things were a little dicey there for times, but once I was able to grasp the situation, the smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall I'd say. Did she get a message? Wait, did they actually manage to find it? Something like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Twisting the truth into knots, making the facts work for you? Thanks. But your luck just ran out, because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting, and right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. Wanna bet? Photo of the shooter. If she had that, we wouldn't be still talking. But I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. I'll raise her on that. That's a bold bluff for this late in the game, Detective. Especially when we both know that there was an optics blackout during the shooting. Well, that's just it. This isn't from optics. I should have figured she wouldn't make a claim about bold and back it up. Alright, party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. Well, okay, the quality is lacking. And yet there it is. They managed to find a quarter needle. I think I don't understand the raisin stuff. They managed to find a quarter needle of evidence in the whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? No, with this scale, their tools operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good, but it's a far cry from the worst case scenario I've envisioned. You could even say I got lucky, which means the stakes are, well, it's a little bit blurry. Don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like at the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone, probably venting about how crazy the couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, its camera would be on, so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted, and so compressed it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss its admissibility and court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from this image. There's no way in hell you could get past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right, we couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, it doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo. What the hell is happening to me? Think I know a DA that could. Don't be so modest, old man. We have a photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. Oh yeah, it was left-handed, wasn't it? And who do we know that there were left-hand fingerprints all over that gun? You're referring to my client, you think? We established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left hand. Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side. A left side that has no gunpowder whatsoever. Presently, never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get where you were going, you somehow end up dry. That doesn't mean it didn't rain. All of which is to say, before judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is. That photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, then that means the photo doesn't show what it appears to show. So, at a loss for words? Never. I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from exactly? Exactly, positional data is usually only accurate to the nearest public router. If we did on the phone's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tells us that the prep shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces to the south, so there's a hallway that runs back to the bedroom. We're looking straight at the shooter, so it's pretty obvious that this was taken from across the north window. From the north? If this was from the north, then why can we clearly see the... It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So we're looking into the bedroom from the north window. If she's wrong, I could seize the opportunity to start turning the tide. All right, hold on. What did I just say? Okay. We're looking straight at the center, so it's pretty obvious to take from across the north window. The north? From the north, and why can we clearly see these? It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. So looking into the bedroom from the north window. Yeah, let me look at the crime scene map. So that's the north. North window was covered by glass. There's no way that shot would have happened unless it was from over here. The crime scene discovered by the police captured within the arc system show the northern window facing the southern hallway where the shooter stood. Shows the western window facing the eastern wall. I mean, I'll raise that. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, detective. The photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? Good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of it. Time to press the initiative. The hell do you mean it was taken from the west? Never you saw you. Well, the autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's art tell us that the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. And now your photo shows us the exact moment of the shooting. And now you can raise the ante on a hand up to the current max. Answer wrong and you'll lose more credit, but answer correctly and you can bank up more credit for the trickier hands down the line. Altogether, that tells us that this photo must have been taken through the west window. As long as you consider the vase, statement, jacket. It's not the revolver. The statement. So one look at the clock in that photo. The clock? What about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. He's mistaken. I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high. This photo was taken right before the shooting. So, wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. No, the time of death is right. Wait, no, that clock reads 9 p.m., the same as the autopsy and the neighbor's reports. I didn't lose anything by keeping my mouth shut while London's train of thought ran its course, but I could have gained some momentum by beating him to the punch. So, then what the hell were you on about? There's a clock on the wall in this photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., the time of the shooting. The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time of the clock that reads that, but do you remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. It makes sense. You want to recall there being a clock because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked onto the floor. And the only clock in that room is the northeastern corner. My client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall. Like so. What the hell is this supposed to be? An artistic rendition. It's very distinct. If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why don't you just add that to the arts and show you my hand? Just because discovery law compels us to share info doesn't mean we have to play fair detective. Slipped my mind. I'll do that now. Important thing is, if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it. Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m., the same time this photo was taken of the shooter, but you want to claim that the clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting. You've got your logic backwards, detective. Your precious photo shows that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And there's one piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. Nope. Not ceramic crap. I don't think it's the vase. Not even a scratch. I think it's glass. So we got the autopsy of the photo of the clock. What does this do? Shards did fall onto the victim. Yeah. Glass shards, what about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they're on top of the victim's body, not under it. If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. That doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? It's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have to delve into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So, what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective, but in this case, it seems that there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So, what if the room didn't get tossed over until afterwards? He still shot her. And we have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Huh? Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove that it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger, because the man in that photo can't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can't. The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting, and we know that until the room was tossed that the clock was on the eastern wall, which means that the photo of the shooter was taken from the west. In fact, this shit, that's impossible. The only hallway in that apartment runs from north to south. The only person with prints on the gun is your client, and the only fact that matters is that he used it to murder 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot right from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation, you're right about the prints, and this HK figure has claimed 6 livers. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What? What we're seeing is... It's not the prosthetic. It could be the mirror. Well, obviously we're talking about... Okay, so... We just said we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. We're looking at the mirror. What is that? You're trying trying the glass shards again? Sort of. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure, they came from a standing mirror. A mirror that, at the time of the shooting, stood across the room from the western window. But then that would mean, at that angle from that viewpoint, it would reflect the hallway. We're not seeing a shooter with a gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm from the mirror. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad it was recovered, because it just proved my client couldn't possibly have committed this crime. Wait a second. Why does the time say the time looks different in the photo then, right? Because that would mean it. I'd have to look at it again. Hold on. Wait a second. Let me look at the evidence. Let me look at the photograph. Yeah, because we can't actually see the times. So that means it was 3. Right? That should be the end of it, except it looks like Detective Reyes is really a novice gambler. Sunk Cost has gotten its teeth in her now, crawling up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever, the impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But lucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. That's one word for it. Allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. In summary, my client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being next to a gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with the facts, he received a photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting, and instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, he tried to claim it depicted my client. And I just realized with the mirror thing, the clock wasn't on the mirror. We're reflecting it because of the person. Okay, I'm a dumbass. A man without requisite limb, standing at the architecturally impossible hallway. He could have had a backup arm. We could have stolen one. A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. Time to bear my things a bit. It was loud as fuck. That's the best he's got. Even a bare bones prosthetic off the black market needs to be attuned to an individual's nervous system. He'd have to bring it into a clinic, which would have left a record of his shoulder's operating system, a record you won't find, but he'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for a full spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around at minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide his cybernetic arm from your drones in the time between the shooting and his arrest? Damn, I think I just killed her. Reyes. Well? Any objection? Any objections? Detective? God damn it. Hold! Is this what Ace Ventura? No, not Ace Ventura. What is the Ace Detective game? Is this what that game is like? This is kind of fun. Oh, is this song called Ghosts? Is that what that is in the upper right? Show me your hand, Flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of evidence, we have no reason to hold you. Now I gotta go call the DA and tell her I made a mistake. Not we made a mistake. Ah, shoot. Listen, kid, you should know. Detective, lost my train of thought. But hey, your attorney's a real tiger, and she just fought like hell for you. Make sure you think you're properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well. Yeah. That's kind of you to say, Detective, but my work is its own reward. Sure, feel exactly the same, counselor. Oh, what happens now? I have to speak with the DA about the dismissal, and there's still some paperwork we need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats, you get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay! But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation into Heartbreak, huh? Yep. And when the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. I mean, maybe I'm just really tired. I've been talking for 2 hours. Wow, I'm surprised I'm still talking as well as I am. I don't remember him freaking out about being accused of being the Heartbreak killer, but I could be not remembering it. It's like almost 11 o'clock here. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin. And then you can make funeral arrangements. Now, that's not what Diane being gone is bad enough. The serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. What am I supposed to do? Hell if I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done more than enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself, to try to convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos. But it's my job too. No, I mean, thank you for not asking. For not asking if I killed her. Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all, I killed her. What? Blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place. Easy to find, hard to miss. I wasn't expecting that. I was just joking when I said I killed her. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain unfurling towards invisible. A perfectly unique bloom. Only one for each of us. A Rorschach's test with singular universal meaning. Vitality at its climax, bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite the end. With the comical thud of a body hitting the floor, it has its own kind of low brow appeal. 8:59 p.m. June 4th, 2086. Bullet number 6 of 6, the gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the disadvantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Moping around in the dark in here, must have only been able to see my silhouette. But she didn't think I was her boyfriend. Oh, did she think I was her boyfriend back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now. Hey, yeah, did you hear that? These old pieces are so goddamn loud, and people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood, but I didn't see anything I could use as even partial suppressor on the way in. Could they really not afford some throw pillows? I used the other 5 bullets in the outdoor space in a small spheres of blind opportunity that where the city's eyes can think to peace. Cramped place is usually full of trash, but this room is, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized even. The corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except there's shit on the floor. By the window are the broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I kick over the stupid goddamn mirror. Perfect 5 crime scenes, each of them. Not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. And for the final shot, there has to be some pile of shit on the floor running everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knocking the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration and try to savor the shredding. It can't be clean. I'll just have to lean into the messy angle. At least it will be consistent. This was also stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on something. Now, was it satisfying when the first 3 went down with single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but after, Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeur would obsess over something that's none of their business? all the threads and breakdowns and goddamn theory crafting. And all for the Heartbreak killer? Sounds like a soap opera villain from a casino or from a season where the writers were on strike. I'd feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, social, impotent loser who shot 6 people because, well, I'm sure people will come up with something. He got rejected one too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight, really savor it. I'm going home. Air is weighty tonight, thick, energized, heavy foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. Warm tension of your skin. Like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when the steam lingers. Yeah, it's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things to be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that, but I know I've never felt guilty about any of this, and I walk. It's still going. 5 a.m. June 5th. Sorry, using my left is still. That's okay. You can just initial these spots. I took a scenic route home courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation and got in a bit after 11 p.m. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, and did some stretching. Made sure my phone was on. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m. a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was of course innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals, maybe even fans depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back, the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now Heartbreak can just starve to death out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Being involved with the case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there, like lighting up a smoke inside the interrogation room just to make doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But obviously everything turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities failing from the best seat in the house, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Deanne is grateful too. Funny, I didn't even know her name. Something the matter? No, sorry, it's just, I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too. So when she died, death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me. Present evidence? I You know, that's funny. I didn't even notice that I wasn't in here. No, wait. I was in here. Wasn't I? Oh, yeah. That's my name. Puzzles, smoking wooden furniture. Criminal defense attorney. Criminal, comma, defense attorney. Sorry, I just thought that was funny. What would this be presenting, though? You know what? Fuck it. We ball. Tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the ARC's data that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit anywhere else. And maybe you can make sense of it. Pills. What is... Where did you find that? The pill organizer was found on the victim. She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained triprexazone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. I was wondering about that. There's small tablets, and those are tricky claps, too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. To my eyes, anyways. "5:01 a.m., June 5th, 2086. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris. And hubris invites a downfall. So why? Why'd I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for Heartbreak. Guns in custody, there's no more bullets left. There won't be a 7th victim, there won't be any more leads to pursue. Media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever found you. District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon, or night, you're always so put together. Thank you, I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise, aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the law who argues for the state in court trying to prove a defendant's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all the adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. That's part of what makes her good at her job, and hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What they've got you doing at the ungodly hour, Emma? Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Well, then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to trial against me. No? Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unattended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial that seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So Reyes told you they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here? Ha! Hardly, I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. But that's about all. Oh? I mean, Carlos Flat, serial killer? The same killer that's outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using his middle name. He was found with the murder weapon, but I can answer that any number of ways. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or the clothes, right? Too remorse, too apologetic in the note, whatever that was about. His dominant arm modded. With documented sensitivity issues, never could make shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention, he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles, and probably too heavy to not leave imprints. She got all that from a glance. But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed all that out the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Long-term relationships, physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. You didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you're probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile is a reconstruction of a criminal's psychology based on the evidence from their crimes, kind of fallen out of fashion for the last few decades. Not much need to guess about the why when 99 times out of 100 the who is caught on camera. Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. Alright, what was about... I'm gonna ask about profiling. So this profiling is some kind of investigative technique? The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing overkill points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest that they can't overpower their victims physically, and that there's the things you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal records, fear and no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence, so how can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent, almost perfect, highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on untagged firearm. It's so rare to see this animated outside the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who's picked up on the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated but all her playful lethal instincts come to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. Though I'm not thrilled about the fact that, in metaphor, I would be the... Know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, the detective said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So does this mean Heartbreak's in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the heads after the first full rotation. Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police though, maybe secondary or tertiary? These types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I don't do anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK's not a cop, how did they know about the blackout timing? Crime meta statistics analysis, probably. Pardon? Take the emergency response times from across the city and map them out. Look for the brief spikes and delays, charts, and the dips in... Sorry, technically I know. But all the requisite data is public availability. With a map, a spreadsheet, and a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. Alright, well, let's ask about Heartbreak's MO. Well, at least this Heartbreak manic will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it. He chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings in the same MO? No, not that I found. Other victims that fit the description? No. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyways. I mean, These 6 victims all looked like each other, but they also looked a lot like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kind of look like me. Do they? Sure. Sure. What? Don't you see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things that perfect takes practice, so I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think Heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchy in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills guaranteed no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun, it's the perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake? Exactly, a mistake. They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary. I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time around, he must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. Made it sound like a child. Childish. And cowardly. And two-faced. Sorry, I didn't say this earlier, but the only thing that was coming through my mind was thinking about, you've probably seen, oh my god, I'm so tired. What is the name of it? It's, Death Note. Yeah, this reminds me a lot of, like, Death Note from, Light Yagami and, fucking K or whatever his name is. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tells you all that? That? No. This part's just takes one to know one. So to summarize, you're looking at a cold-blooded, faceless, perfectionist killer who you think is no persistent MO or victim type in a city with an 8-digit population. Well, good luck. I don't need luck. I only need more information. I'm sure the city would be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan, I mean, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. That's the name of the game? Of the devil. Fair enough. Woof. Okay, that rain was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more. Or sleep more. Or sleep less. But harder. You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. So no hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you fall asleep face first onto the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay. Just don't expect this to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation, and the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. It's what people do. But Emma is different. She said she'll set it aside and work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. Her private corner of frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off of her. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. Episode 0 end. Thank God. I really enjoyed this game. My throat is so tired. I am so tired. I'm gonna go lay down and watch some YouTube. Anyways, if you made it this far, it'd be really cool if you gave me a like. It would be awesome if you left a comment if you want me to continue playing the other episodes in this game. And it'd be also really cool if you joined our Discord. But the comment is more than enough. If you're willing to do that, I'll be willing to settle for the comment. It'd also be really cool if you subscribed. And above all else, I hope you have a great day. There's more! Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while, Android. For how long? I'm sorry, I don't know. There's no need to look that upset over it. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that. This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on, it'll be fun. Really? Really, educational too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. If you want me to play the next episode, please let me know down in the comments so then I can go out and purchase it, because it is DLC. It is like $10, which isn't, you know, a whole lot. I'd be happy to do it, but I want to make sure that people actually want to see it. So let me know down in the comments. Maybe consider subscribing. Thanks. There's more. You're the smartest person I know, Morgan, when it comes to people. Personally, I think it's cool to bring something that flawed into the world. You're a criminal defense attorney, and we're at crime scene. We're at a crime scene. I think I can guess what happens next. I've never stolen anything that wasn't already compromised. Work hard and the company will have you set for life and after too. Can't tell you how many musicians I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. So that's not just a lawyer job thing, you dress like a doorman on the weekends too? Heard a determining cause of death is like a breath of fresh air. Company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. We can't hope to keep this quiet for very long, but it's a million times more likely than the alternative that Heartbreak could ever stop themselves from killing. Father said that you owed him. I don't do anything outside of the goodness of my heart, but when I take a job, I never half-ass it. Of the Devil, Episode 1. See you then. And I Don't Mind is the name of the episode. Bye-bye.